the window of Dead Man's Gulch. The wind never stayed quiet in Dead Man's Gulch. It howled through the narrow canyon day and night, carrying whispers that every rancher claimed belonged to the souls of men who had died searching for gold. Most folks laughed at the old legends during daylight, but when the sun disappeared behind the cliffs, nobody dared ride anywhere near the abandoned mining camp. At the center of those crumbling buildings stood a weathered cabin with a single dusty window that strangely reflected sunlight long after darkness had covered the valley. Travelers called it the window of Dead Man's Gulch, and no one could explain why it glowed every night. Some believed it was haunted, others thought buried treasure was hidden beneath the cabin, while a few simply avoided asking questions. But one man wasn't afraid of stories. His name was Marshal Nathan Briggs, a quiet lawman known for solving problems with patience instead of bullets. Nathan had spent 20 years chasing outlaws across the frontier, and he trusted tracks, evidence, and common sense far more than ghost tales. Still, when 3 experienced hunters vanished after camping near the glowing window, even Nathan admitted something unusual was waiting in the gulch. Determined to uncover the truth, he saddled his bay horse Ranger and rode toward the canyon before sunrise, unaware that his journey would reveal a secret hidden for nearly 30 years. The ride into Dead Man's Gulch felt strangely silent. No birds flew overhead, no coyotes barked from the ridges, and even Ranger stepped carefully across the rocky trail as though the horse sensed danger ahead. Nathan noticed old wagon tracks buried beneath years of dust, proving that miners had once traveled this route in large numbers. Rusted pickaxes, broken lanterns, and collapsed wooden carts lay scattered across the canyon floor like forgotten memories. By afternoon, he reached the abandoned cabin. The building leaned to one side, its roof sagging beneath age, but the single front window remained perfectly clean, despite decades without anyone living there. Nathan dismounted, expecting to find fresh footprints, yet the ground surrounding the cabin remained untouched except for faint boot marks leading toward the cliffs before, disappearing among loose stones. Inside the cabin, he found nothing but an old rocking chair, a cracked stove, and strange scratches carved into the wooden floor beneath the glowing window. They formed no words, only straight lines crossing each other like someone had desperately tried to leave a message before running out of time. As evening approached, Nathan stayed inside the cabin to witness the mysterious light himself. The last rays of the setting sun disappeared behind the cliffs. Yet moments later, the dusty window began shining with a pale golden glow. It wasn't firelight or moonlight. The glass itself seemed alive. Nathan slowly walked closer and suddenly noticed something astonishing. The window reflected not the cabin behind him, but the canyon outside exactly as it had appeared decades earlier. Through the glass, he could see miners hauling wagons, children playing beside tents, horses tied to hitching posts, and smoke rising from blacksmith chimneys. It was as if the window had become a doorway into the past. Nathan stared in disbelief while figures moved silently within the reflection. Then one miner suddenly turned toward him and pointed frantically toward the northern cliff before vanishing. The glowing image faded, leaving only Nathan's confused reflection staring back from the dusty glass. The next morning, Nathan climbed the northern ridge the miner had indicated. After several hours of searching, he discovered an enormous boulder balanced unnaturally against the canyon wall. Fresh scrape marks suggested someone had recently shifted it. With great effort, Nathan managed to move the rock just enough to reveal a narrow tunnel hidden behind it. Carrying his lantern, he entered cautiously. The tunnel stretched deep into the mountain before opening into an enormous chamber filled with old mining equipment and dozens of wooden crates. Most had rotted away, but several remained sealed. Nathan opened one and found stacks of untouched silver bars wrapped in faded cloth. Another contained ledgers listing shipments that had supposedly disappeared. nearly 30 years earlier. Yet the greatest surprise waited at the chamber's far end. 3 frightened hunters emerged from behind the crates, weak but alive. They explained that armed men had captured them after discovering they had wandered too close to the hidden tunnel. The outlaws had forced them to stay silent while they secretly hauled silver from the forgotten mine each week. Nathan now understood why the mysterious window had always seemed connected to disappearances. It wasn't magic trapping people inside the cabin. The glowing reflection had accidentally revealed clues pointing toward the hidden tunnel, and anyone who came too close risked finding the criminals protecting the secret mine. Nathan quietly escorted the hunters through another passage leading outside the mountain before returning alone to observe the thieves. That evening, 4 riders arrived with pack mules and began loading silver beneath cover of darkness. Their leader was Cole Mercer, a respected cattle trader from a neighboring town whom everyone believed to be an honest businessman. Nathan watched from the rocks until the men finished loading their animals. Then he fired a warning shot into the air. The startled thieves reached for their rifles, but Nathan had already positioned himself above them where every escape route remained visible. A tense gunfight echoed across the canyon as bullets struck stone, sending clouds of dust into the air. Nathan's careful aim shattered lanterns, frightened pack mules, and forced the outlaws into confusion instead of killing them. One by one, they surrendered after realizing every path out of the gulch had been blocked by deputies Nathan had secretly summoned earlier using signal fires from the ridge. The town held a celebration unlike anything seen in years after the stolen silver was recovered. Families who had struggled for generations finally received what had been taken from their ancestors. Old ranches were repaired, new wells were dug, the schoolhouse received a new roof, and businesses that had nearly closed their doors were given a second chance. Nathan Briggs refused every reward offered to him, saying the silver had never belonged to him in the first place. Instead, he returned to his quiet duties as marshal, believing that justice was worth far more than riches. Word of what happened at Dead Man's Gulch spread across the frontier, and travelers arrived from distant territories hoping to solve the mystery of the glowing window for themselves. Some camped beside the abandoned cabin for days, others carried expensive cameras, strange measuring tools, and notebooks filled with theories. Yet no one witnessed exactly what Nathan had seen that remarkable evening. Sometimes the window remained dull and lifeless, covered with nothing more than ordinary dust. On other nights, it shimmered for only a few seconds before fading again, leaving visitors wondering if they had imagined the strange light. A few swore they saw miners carrying lanterns inside the reflection, while others claimed they heard the faint sound of pickaxes striking stone, even though the canyon was completely empty. None of them ever discovered another hidden tunnel or another cache of silver because Nathan had ordered the old mine sealed forever with heavy stone and iron gates, ensuring that no greedy treasure hunter would lose their life searching for riches that no longer existed. Years passed, and Nathan grew older, but every autumn he returned. Alone to Dead Man's Gulch on the exact anniversary of the day he uncovered the truth. He never told anyone why he continued making the journey, and curious townsfolk eventually stopped asking. During one visit, as the evening sun disappeared behind the cliffs, the familiar golden glow slowly returned to the lonely cabin window. Nathan stepped closer, expecting to see nothing more than his own reflection, but instead, the glass revealed the old mining camp once again, busier and brighter than before. Men pushed loaded carts through the streets, children laughed as they chased each other between tents, horses stood tied outside the blacksmith shop, and smoke drifted peacefully into the evening sky. Then the same miner who had pointed toward the hidden tunnel decades earlier appeared in the reflection once more. This time the old miner smiled, removed his hat, and gave Nathan a respectful nod before slowly walking away into the bustling camp until the image disappeared forever. The window never glowed again after that night. Visitors continued coming for many years, hoping to witness the legendary light, but they found only an ordinary weathered cabin standing silently against the canyon wall. Some believed the mystery had finally ended because justice had been served, while others insisted the window had fulfilled the purpose it had waited decades to accomplish. Nathan never revealed what he saw during his final visit, carrying the secret with him until the end of his life. After his passing, people discovered a single sentence written inside his old journal. "Not every ghost is searching for revenge. Some are simply waiting for an honest soul to finish the job they could not." Those words transformed the legend of Dead Man's Gulch from a frightening ghost story into a tale of courage, integrity, and unfinished justice. Even today, old ranchers crossing the canyon at sunset still glance toward the abandoned cabin, not because they expect to find treasure, but because they hope that, just for a moment, they might catch a faint golden glow in the dusty window and remember that the greatest legends of the Old West were never built on fear alone. They were built on ordinary people who chose to do the right thing when everyone else was too afraid to look through the window.